Regarding architecture, the Chicago Loop is an awe-inspiring place. The city's financial center pioneered the development of technology for skyscraper construction, allowing history's greatest architects to leave a magnificent mark for future generations to enjoy. One such marvel is the Aon Center, formerly known as Chicago's Standard Oil Building. I will refer to it as such for the nostalgic souls within the audience. Anyhow, the structure rose from the unlikely ashes of Rockefeller's antitrust suit, becoming the tallest building in the city for a time, and ultimately was found to have some grave errors in its construction. Join me to find out why, as today we discover the history of Chicago's Standard Oil Building. I'm your host, Ryan Socash, and you're watching It's History. During the late 19th and early 20th century, Chicago experienced organic and, in some cases, unplanned urban sprawl. And even though building codes were already well established at this point, the overwhelming nature of the building boom meant inevitably red lines were overlooked, bribes were given, and in some cases, structures were erected haphazardly, without adhering to reasonable design principles. Despite the lax formalities in planning, Chicago's architects began to evolve and gain prominence, most in part due to their glorious accomplishments, all of which were a direct reflection of the city's economic prosperity. But as the 20th century moved on, Chicago witnessed something unusual: new advancements in architecture, driven by modern, technological innovations. In short, the incorporation of steel-framed construction techniques revolutionized building methodologies, allowing taller and sturdier structures to arise. Additionally, the advent of the elevator further expedited vertical expansion. Hence, Chicago's first skyscrapers emerged as pioneering feats of engineering and design, showcasing the city's ambition and ingenuity. Architects such as Louis Sullivan and Henry Hobson Richard, with their unique approaches to design, played a pivotal role in shaping the skyline. Sullivan's philosophy of, quote, forms follow function emphasized the aesthetic expression of a building's structural elements, giving rise to iconic structures such as the Auditorium Building, as well as the Carson Pirie Scott and Company Building. Similarly, Richardson's unmistakable Romanesque style left an enduring mark on Chicago architecture, as evidenced by his work on the Marshall Field's wholesale store. And so, by mid-century, the stage was set. The town would embark on a race to the sky, reaching heights previously unimaginable. The Standard Oil Building would appear on the horizon in mid-century, or to be more specific, its roots date back to the late 1960s. However, its creator's story started long before. Architect Edward Durell Stone, born in 1902 in Arkansas, was always interested in design. So, in pursuit of his dream, he enrolled at the University of Arkansas in 1920, but dropped out after just 2 years, moving to Boston to refocus himself on architecture. While working as a draftsman, he began studying at the Boston Architectural Club. In 1925, Stone received a scholarship to continue at the prestigious Harvard School of Architecture, and then, in 1926, he transferred to MIT, although he still needed to complete the degree. Even so, Stone's prolific career spanned decades, leaving an indelible mark on the architectural landscape of the 20th century. In his work, Stone demonstrated remarkable versatility and adaptability, seamlessly blending the principles of traditional architecture with modernist sensibilities. From iconic structures like the Kennedy Center in Washington, D.C., to the renowned Museum of Modern Art in New York, his work is synonymous with aesthetic brilliance. And be that as it may, Edward Stone was destined for a major blunder during the design phase of one of his most essential structures, Chicago's Standard Oil Building, which we'll get to in a moment. But first, we have to examine why Standard Oil needed such an edifice in the first place. In light of years prior, the Industrial Revolution brought the rise of big business in the United States. A revolution stemming much in part by the societal embrace of petroleum, and with it, poster child, John D. Rockefeller, would change America forever. John, the second of 6 children, was born in 1939 on a farm in Richmond, New York. His early years were marked by modesty. He was born into a humble family that emphasized discipline and religion and education. However, after moving to Ohio in 1853, John attended Cleveland's Central High School, leaving in 1855 to take a 6-month business course over at the Folsom Mercantile College. Despite his newly learned principles of business excellence, Cleveland was adverse. John initially struggled to find work until Hewitt & Tuttle, a small firm of product shippers and commission merchants, hired him as an assistant accountant. In this position, he took his first of many steps towards ambition and business awareness, propelling him to become one of the wealthiest individuals in history. Rockefeller worked diligently, impressing his employees at every step along the way. Trading on his account, his combination of caution, precision, and resolve caught the attention of Cleveland's business community. Despite the economic challenges in his youth, Rockefeller saved money, laying the groundwork for his future success. Critically, upon entering the scene, John realized that the oil industry was in dire need of a substantial overhaul. That's why they founded the Standard Oil Company in 1870. Along with his brother William, Samuel Andrews, Henry M. Flagler, Stephen V. Harkins, and O.B. Jennings, entry costs remained low, while the oil market became oversaturated. The inefficiency of smaller companies struggling to survive economically led to prices falling below production cost and negatively impacting larger, more efficient companies. The remedy was to create a vertically integrated giant that oversaw the refining, storage, and production of auxiliary products like paint and glue. Then, in 1872, just 2 years after its creation, Standard Oil acquired and supervised almost all of Cleveland's refineries. 10 years later, in 1882, all assets were merged into the Standard Oil Trust, forming a colossal company. Through shrewd business tactics and aggressive expansion, John transformed Standard Oil into a dominant force in the oil industry, controlling almost 90% of oil refining in the United States by the 1880s. This consolidation of power allowed Rockefeller to streamline operations, increasing efficiency and reducing costs, ultimately revolutionizing the oil industry altogether. As a side note, in the contemporary landscape, what would become of the Standard Oil Company still maintains a powerful position in the global market, though under something of a different appearance. Anyhow, they were forced to break up because of an antitrust suit, and after the dissolution of the original Standard Oil conglomerate in 1911, the company underwent a series of transformations, culminating in its rebranding to ExxonMobil. By the 1960s, the conglomeration needed to make its mark on Chicago, and so they linked up with Edward Stone along the way to turn a dream into reality. In the late 1960s, the Standard Oil Company of Indiana aspired to have a monumental headquarters in Chicago, electing to move their previous headquarters at 910 South Michigan Avenue and designing a new Standard Oil building east of the Chicago Loop. The Standard Oil Company of Indiana was one of the many entities formed due to the breakup in 1911, and Indiana became one of the most significant successors, operating primarily in the Midwestern United States. Now, it might seem counterintuitive for an Indiana company to set up an HQ in Illinois. Still, it was not uncommon for companies to have headquarters in a state other than where they were initially founded or conducted most of their operations. While the Standard Oil Company of Indiana was founded and initially based in Indiana, it chose to construct its monumental headquarters in Chicago for various factors, such as business opportunities, transportation infrastructure, or strategic considerations. Anyhow, the construction of the building was a monumental task, characterized by meticulous planning and then execution. Standing at a height of 1,136 feet, it surpassed the neighboring John Hancock Center, becoming the tallest complete building in Chicago and the 4th tallest in the world at the time, earning it the nickname Big Stan. High-strength steel and reinforced concrete ensured the building's structural integrity, allowing it to withstand the city's harsh weather conditions. Upon first glance, the structural design is very straightforward. It's that of a square tower, To achieve this, architects adopted a relatively new and innovative approach by employing a simple system of framed rectangular tubes with a steel tubular structure. This design ensures stability, enhances seismic resistance, reduces swaying, and minimizes column bending. Elevators and other services are centralized in the core, while perimeter columns form an outer tube. The tower features 50 elevators, some with double platforms, and several service stairs. The inner and outer tubes are interconnected by trusses, which support large open floor plates and ensure overall structural stability. Furthermore, the tubular structure used in this tower was inspired by the design of the Sears Tower, which was under construction at the same time. And so it was. The construction concluded in 1973, marking a significant milestone in the city's skyline at a cost of approximately $120 million. The completed tower captured the spirit of the era with an elegant and modern design. It incorporated a series of setbacks reminiscent of Art Deco, giving it a sense of grandeur. The building's other distinctive features are its exterior of Carrara Italian marble and reflective glass. The tower's facade features a curtain wall with 15 vertical bands of black windows on each side of the building, nestled between white triangular pillars. Although its primary function is aesthetic, this curtain wall also helps transfer wind loads horizontally to the building's main structure through connections at floors or pillars. In 1985, following the company's transition to AMCO, the building was renamed the AMCO Building. Then, in 1998, AMCO and its investors decided to relocate their headquarters. The building was sold and renamed the Aon Center in honor of one of its major tenants. The Aon Center is an imposing architectural marvel. However, a history of vulnerability and failure lies beneath its grandeur. These issues became apparent when its construction was plagued with controversies. During that stage of the process, several errors and accidents occurred. Although unrelated to modern issues, the first notable incident during construction was the failure of a scaffolding platform, which resulted in the death of 5 workers. This tragedy underscored the importance of implementing strict safety measures in skyscraper construction projects. However, when the issue of vulnerability to weather challenges arose, more serious issues were discovered. An examination revealed the potential for structural failure, which stemmed from the lightweight design and the environmental stresses, an issue perhaps best described by Medium.com. Reading, quote, "The architect chose thin Italian Carrara alpha gray marble slabs, stating they would be, quote, long-lasting and outstanding. Hence, around 43,000 marble slabs were installed on the building's facade and connected to steel structure through bolts." The article continues, but this was where Aon Center stepped into failure's arena. After almost 12 years of exposure to Chicago's large temperature swings, much of the facade began to deteriorate to dangerous levels, causing the thin marble slabs to bow outward permanently. As marble is brittle material, it develops plastic properties with time. Hence, the bow became a permanent deformity, resulting in a substantial loss in the material's strength. These challenges were initially temporarily resolved when stainless steel straps were added to hold the marble in place. Then, in 1990, the building was reinforced with 43,000 slabs of 2-inch thick white granite, costing a mind-boggling $80 million. With the structural concerns resolved in recent years, the building has undergone several upgrades and modernization projects. For instance, the South Plaza renovations aimed to enhance the outdoor space's aesthetic, appeal, and functionality. Design changes have been executed with meticulous attention to detail so as to not let history repeat itself. Additionally, Chicago's Aon Center is on the brink of a significant transformation, with the approval of an observation deck and a 1,100-foot exterior elevator. The project envisions installing a glass elevator that would lift visitors 83 floors to the top of the building, providing a breathtaking vantage point from which to admire the urban landscape from one of the city's tallest structures and in a very adventurous way. The Standard Oil Building remains a testament to Chicago's architectural heritage and is a masterpiece of modern construction. So let's keep its story alive by sharing this video. And on a side note, if you'd like to see my live tour of Krakow, Poland's former ghetto, where I actually discovered what was left of the ghetto walls, you can catch that episode right now by clicking here and joining our members-only area. Otherwise, I thank you all for watching, and until next time, this is Ryan Socash, signing off.